For as long as we can remember, the human search for well-being has kind of gone down two different roads. You've got ancient spiritual traditions on one side and modern science on the other. But what if those roads are actually headed to the same place?
So that brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Can these two powerful forces, faith and science, actually team up? Can they work together to create a more complete way for us to heal and understand ourselves? Let's find out.
We're going to dive into a really fascinating academic analysis of a spiritual text called A Message Across Time, My Covenant for the Present and Future. And what this analysis found is pretty amazing. It argues that this text is more than just spiritual guidance. It's actually a powerful, practical bridge to the world of modern psychology. Okay, so before we can walk across that bridge, we have to understand what it's made of, right? We've got to start with the spiritual blueprint laid out in the text itself. The first big clue is right there in the title. See, it's not just a message that you passively read. It's framed as a covenant. And that's huge. A covenant is an active, living promise you make with yourself. That little shift in wording immediately puts you in the driver's seat. It's all about personal responsibility. Now, the cornerstone of this whole thing is a concept called al-yaqeen. You can think of it as a deep, profound certainty or trust in God. The idea isn't about pretending that life isn't hard. Instead, it's about reframing those struggles with this core belief that the best is always in what God chooses. This perspective is designed to turn that feeling of anxiety into tranquility and our resistance into acceptance. So the text moves from our relationship with the divine to our relationship with ourselves. And it makes a really important point. We're not just one simple thing. We are complex, we are messy, we are an integrated whole. And this slide just lays that out so perfectly. The text gives us this map of our inner world, this tripartite model. You've got the body, our physical vessel, shown here in pure blue. Then you have the Nafs, or the self, and I love this description, the battlefield of our inner conflicts, our subconscious, and it's in a very fitting burning red. And finally, the soul, our wise, pure inner compass, represented by that beautiful verdant green. All right, so we've got the spiritual blueprint down. Now for the really cool part. Let's see exactly how that bridge to modern science gets built. This is where the analysis uncovers some absolutely remarkable connections. First up, let's talk about acceptance. The ancient Stoics, for example, taught that we should accept a neutral, indifferent universe to find our inner peace. The Covenant also teaches acceptance, but the source is completely different. It's not about an indifferent universe. It's about trusting in a wise and merciful divine will. And that transforms suffering from something you just have to endure into an act of loving trust. Next, there's this incredible alignment with Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, the whole idea of finding meaning in our lives. Frankl said, we find meaning in what we give to the world. Well, the Covenant echoes that perfectly. It flips the script on the central question of life, from what can I get to what is the unique gift that I can offer the world. It says our true purpose is found in service to others. And then there's the connection to something many of us are familiar with, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. One of the main tools in CBT is what's called cognitive reframing, basically changing the story you tell yourself about a situation. The Covenant does this naturally. It doesn't just say, get over your failures. No, it reframes failure as a precious learning moment designed specifically for you. That's a game changer. So beyond these parallels, the text offers something really unique, something incredibly practical. It's a central metaphor that kind of acts as the keystone holding this entire bridge together. And here it is, the metaphor of the vessels of being. The idea is so simple but so profound. You are not a fixed thing. Your character, your personality, it's all shaped by what you consciously choose to fill yourself with, and maybe even more importantly, what you choose to empty out. So why is this metaphor so powerful from a psychological standpoint? Well, first off, it just hands you the reins. It grants you agency and responsibility. Second, it tells you that your personality isn't set in stone. It's dynamic, which means you can always grow. And third, it takes this vague idea of self-improvement and turns it into a concrete daily task. What am I filling my vessels with today? And here's the best part. You can actually use this. It breaks down into a simple 3-step exercise. First, just acknowledge what's already in your vessels, your habits, your thoughts, the stuff you watch and read. Second, consciously decide what you need to empty out. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's resentment. And third, be proactive. Choose what you're going to fill them with instead, things like gratitude, courage, or new knowledge. So when you pull all of these pieces together, the spiritual foundation, the parallels with psychology, and these amazing practical tools, what do you end up with? You get a truly unified path to wellness. And the beautiful thing about this framework is that it doesn't force you to choose. It's not science versus spirit. It's about integration. It creates this space where spiritual wisdom and scientific principles can actually work together hand in hand to build a much stronger approach to well-being.
What this gives us in the end, is a truly holistic model. It's a way of looking at ourselves that honors the whole person, not just our thoughts, not just our behaviors, but our mind, our body, and our soul, just like we saw in that tripartite model earlier.
And maybe the most powerful idea that ties all of this together is this one right here. It's like a kind of modern-day alchemy. The text suggests that all your past experiences, the good and the bad, aren't things to be thrown away. No, they're precious assets. They are the raw material, the lead of pain that you can consciously transform into the gold of wisdom.
And so that's the question I really want to leave you with. As you think about your own journey, your own struggles, your own victories, what lead of pain in your life is just sitting there, waiting for you to transform it into gold?